She knocked on my door in the middle of a storm. Her hands were frozen, her eyes empty, and her words, "Take my daughter. Just give us a blanket." I thought I'd heard everything on this planet, until that night. When mercy became a crime, the storm outside didn't sound like weather. It sounded alive, like something angry was crawling across the plains, clawing at metal walls just to remind me how small I was. My name's Elias Ward. Maintenance tech, population, me and an AI drone with trust issues. Out here, warmth costs more than gold, and silence can drive a man to start talking to his tools. I'd just finished fixing a heater when it happened. 3 slow knocks, faint but deliberate, like someone testing if mercy still existed on this planet. At first I laughed under my breath. "Probably a panel loose again," I muttered, pretending the sound didn't raise the hairs on my neck. But then came a voice, weak, cracked, barely human. "Please, just one night." I froze. No one travels at night. Not in this storm. Not unless death's already chasing them. When I opened the door, the wind nearly ripped it off its hinges. And there she was, taller than me, wrapped in torn fabric, eyes glowing faintly blue in the dark. In her arms, a child half-conscious, skin pale as the snow. The mother's voice shook as she spoke again.
"Take her."
"Take my daughter. Only give us warmth." For a heartbeat, I didn't move. My brain screamed, "Shut the door," but my gut, my stupid human gut, made me reach for a blanket instead. I wrapped it around the girl before I could think twice. The mother flinched like I'd struck her. She whispered, "You don't want payment?" I shook my head. "Lady, I don't trade in people." My heater barely works as it is. For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Confusion, maybe disbelief. I stepped aside. "Come in before the cold decides for you." She hesitated. The kind of hesitation you only see in someone who's been punished for hope before. Then slowly she crossed the threshold. The wind died the moment the door shut. Inside, the fire cracked, the child whimpered, and I realized something simple. I hadn't invited 2 strangers into my home. I'd invited trouble with a heartbeat, and part of me already knew. I wasn't going to regret it. The air inside the cabin felt heavy, like the storm had followed us in. My fire flickered weakly, throwing long shadows that made the place look smaller than it was. The woman stood near the door, still clutching her daughter, as if warmth was another trick humans invented to trap people. I cleared my throat and nodded to the fire. "It's not much, but it beats freezing solid out there." She didn't answer. Her eyes scanned every corner. The rifle by the wall, the ration boxes, the AI drone hovering lazily near the ceiling. The little girl stirred, whispering something in a language I didn't understand. I crouched and loosened the blanket around her, letting the heat reach her face. "She's gonna be fine," I said, more to convince myself than her mother. Finally, the woman spoke. Her voice was quiet but sharp. "What do you want for this?" The question hit harder than the wind outside. "For what?" "For shelter. For food. For mercy," I sighed. "You make it sound like I'm running a store." She frowned, not understanding. I added, "No price. Just stay alive. That's all the payment I need." Her shoulders stiffened, suspicious. "Humans don't give without taking. Then consider me a broken model," I said. "Faulty wiring." A small sound broke between us. A laugh. Short, nervous, but real. The first human noise in this room besides my own voice. I poured soup into 2 metal cups. The steam filled the silence. She watched every move like it was a test. When I pushed 1 cup toward her, she hesitated before taking it. Her hands trembled. The first sip made her eyes close, like she hadn't tasted warmth in years. The girl smiled faintly, and something in me cracked. I'd spent so long keeping the world outside that I'd forgotten what simple gratitude looked like. The AI, never missing a chance to ruin the moment, beeped. "Warning, unregistered life forms detected," I smirked. "Thanks, Pix. Always the diplomat." The woman glanced up, startled. "It talks." "Yeah," I said. Annoyingly. For a moment we just sat there, 3 souls and 1 nosy machine, sharing the kind of silence that didn't need fixing. I didn't know her name yet, but I already knew this. Whatever storm she'd walked through, it wasn't over. Morning came quietly, the kind of quiet that makes you suspicious. The storm had passed, but the air outside looked bruised, pale sunlight struggling through dust clouds. Sura, that's what she finally told me to call her, sat near the fire with Lyra curled against her. Both looked smaller in daylight, fragile but alive. I was about to offer them breakfast when I noticed something outside the window. Footprints, human ones, fresh. I froze. Out here no one just visits. You either come for help or trouble. Pix hovered beside me, its lens flickering. Unauthorized activity detected 50 meters east. Yeah, I muttered. That's one way to say we've got company. I shoved my boots on, stepped outside. The prints led toward the ridge, too deliberate to be random. Someone had been watching the cabin last night. By noon, the radio crackled. Elias Ward, this is Commander Holt of Frontier Command. We're reading unusual heat signatures from your sector. Everything operational? I swallowed. Operational enough. Heater works. Coffee's terrible. He didn't laugh. Holt never did. We'll send an inspection team. Just protocol. That's what they call suspicion these days. Back inside, Sura already knew something was wrong. Her instincts were sharp. They come for us, she said flatly. They come for everyone eventually, I replied, forcing a grin. Don't take it personal, she didn't smile. She packed the blanket tighter around Lyra, eyes darting toward the vent shaft. An hour later, a transport drone descended outside, kicking up snow. 2 soldiers stepped out, rifles slung casual, the way wolves stroll before they bite. I told Sura to hide in the maintenance tunnel. She didn't argue, just gave me a look, the kind you remember. A mix of trust and fear, like she was betting her life on my decency. Inside, Holt's voice echoed through my door. Routine check, Ward. Mind if we look around? Be my guest, I said, keeping my tone light. Try not to steal my spare socks. They searched everything, walls, crates, storage lockers. One of them paused near the floor vent. I held my breath. Then Lyra sneezed. The sound was soft, but it might as well have been a gunshot. Lyra's sneeze cut through the silence like a siren. The soldiers froze. One tilted his head, eyes narrowing toward the vent. My mind ran faster than reason. I dropped a wrench, hard, letting it clang loud enough to cover the sound. Relax, I said, forcing a chuckle. That vent's been hissing all week. Leaks air like a drunk miner. The soldier shrugged, satisfied enough to be lazy. Holt wasn't. He looked at me the way people look at puzzles they don't like. If you're hiding anything, Ward, now's the time to confess. Saves paperwork, I met his stare. Only thing I'm hiding is a bad haircut, he smirked, the kind that didn't reach his eyes, and finally called his men out. The moment their boots hit the snow, I locked the door and exhaled so hard my ribs hurt. Sura crawled out of the vent, covered in dust, clutching Lyra close. Her voice trembled. They will return. Yeah, I said quietly, and next time they'll bring friends. That night the ridge burned with torchlight. Dozens of figures, voices shouting my name. The colony had found its new entertainment, a witch hunt with better lighting. Sura's eyes were wide, glowing faintly in the dark. Let us go. They want us, not you. I shook my head. If I open that door now, they'll take you. Then they'll take everything I stand for. She stepped closer, angry and scared all at once. Why risk your life for strangers? Because, I said, loading the rifle, I'm tired of pretending decency's a crime. Pix hovered near the ceiling, panicked. Elias, statistics suggest you will not survive this encounter. Then delete my browser history and make it a noble death. The pounding started. Fists, boots, metal tools against my door. Each blow rattled through my bones. Lyra cried softly, hiding behind her mother. I aimed at the window, fired a warning shot. The echo tore through the cold night. First one to step closer, I shouted. Loses a leg. The crowd wavered, uncertain. But then someone yelled back, You're protecting filth. I could have shouted, cursed, fired again. Instead, I just said the truth. No, I'm protecting people. The night went quiet. That dangerous kind of quiet, right before everything changes. When dawn came, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like silence had swallowed the world. The flames outside had died to smoke. Ash covered the snow like grey dust on a broken dream. I opened the door slowly. half expecting another crowd. Nothing, just wind and the wreckage of courage scattered across the yard. Inside, Sura sat by the fire, Lyra curled in her lap. The girl slept without twitching for the first time all night. Her tiny fingers still clutched a corner of the blanket as if the storm might come back to steal it. Sura looked up when I limped in. Her eyes were different now, still cautious but softer, like the edge of her fear had been sanded down. "You did not have to fight for us," she said quietly. "Yeah," I answered, lowering the rifle, "but I would have hated myself if I didn't." Pix hovered over the burnt floorboards, scanning damage. Structural integrity at 63%. "Congratulations, Ilias. You're officially homeless." I chuckled. "Add it to the resume." For a long minute we said nothing. Only the crackle of the fire and the hum of the drone filled the room. Then Sura spoke again, slower this time. "My people will not forget. You gave what no one else would." I waved her words away. "Don't make it sound holy." "I just opened a door." She shook her head. "You opened more than that." Outside, movement on the horizon, shadows, dozens of them. I grabbed the rifle, but Sura touched my arm. "They're mine," she whispered. Figures emerged from the mist. Other exiles, wrapped in rags, glowing eyes shining like lanterns. They had followed the story of one human who gave shelter instead of fire. Their leader stepped forward. Human, scarred, familiar. My heart stuttered. "Elias," he said, "didn't think you'd still be breathing." "My brother. Lost years ago to the same colony that made this world cruel." He looked at Sura, at Lyra, then at me. "Seems you finally picked a side." "Didn't know there was a good one left," I said. He smiled faintly. "Maybe now there is." Sura took a slow breath, her voice barely above a whisper. "Once I offered my daughter for a blanket." I looked at her, at the child sleeping safe beside the fire. "And what did you get instead?" I asked. Her eyes glimmered. A reason to believe again. The storm outside had ended, but something new had started.